Penguin Random House Audio presents The Blanket Cats by Kiyoshi Shigematsu. Translated by Jesse Kirkwood. Read for you by Yuriri Naka.
The Cat Who Sneezed. 1. 2 nights, 3 days. That was how long you could keep them. You're probably thinking that isn't very long. The pet shop owner would say to his customers once they'd signed the contract. He would deliver these words in an identical tone and with an identical expression every single time. Any longer and you start to get attached. Meanwhile, the cat starts worrying it might never be coming back here. Doesn't work out well for anyone, believe me. Buying them wasn't an option. No, as a general rule, was hosting the same animal more than once in the span of a month. 3 days, that's it, the owner said, driving the point home in the same quiet but firm voice as always. They didn't come cheap either, for the same upfront cost. The fee plus a deposit several times that amount. You could easily buy one of the purebred kittens the owner sold through the more conventional pet shop side of his business. And yet the customers kept coming. Each of the 7 cats would return from its latest assignment, and after just a night or two at the shop, move on to another new home for the next 3 days. They came with their own toilets, and you weren't allowed to feed them anything except the special cat food supplied by the owner. In particular, he insisted that, like any cat, they should never be fed onion, abalone, or chicken bones. Onion is poison to a cat's bloodstream. It breaks down their red blood cells and turns them anemic. Abalone makes their ears swell up and turn bright red. In bad cases, they develop dermatitis, and if you don't do anything about that, their ears fall right off. As for chicken bones, they splinter when a cat bites them. Don't want them piercing their throats or an organ, do we? The customers would react to his warnings in all sorts of ways. Some took notes, while others gasped in surprise. Some simply nodded in silence, while others barely even listened because, in their opinion, they'd heard it all before. When it came to looking after cats, people's level of experience varied. The owner welcomed customers who had never had a cat before, but he was always sure to give them a particularly stern warning. The cat sleeps on its own. When it's bedtime, you put it in this carrier, and you make sure the blanket is laid out just like it is now. And never, ever wash the blanket, no matter how dirty you might think it is. Cats are not known to relish a change of environment. For any normal cat, this lifestyle would undoubtedly be stressful. Which is why, said the owner, still using the same words as always, the same expression and tone of voice. It was quite possible that the precise duration of the explanation up to this point was identical every time too. They have the blanket. From an early age, each of the 7 cats had always slept with their own rotating collection of blankets. As long as they were equipped with one of their familiar favorites, they could sleep soundly wherever they found themselves. It's like that scene you see in old manga comics. You know, the kid who leaves home and stuffs his pillow into his bag for comfort. At this point, he liked to give a chuckle, the same chuckle every time. Today, too, he chuckled right on cue. Well, here you go. She's yours, he said, picking the carrier up from the counter and holding it towards the customer. Take good care of her, okay? The customer, who, like the owner, looked to be in his mid-40s, clutched the carrier close to his chest, a nervous look on his face. You don't have to hold it like that, you know. Oh, sorry. You don't have to apologize either. For the first time, the owner offered what seemed to be an unscripted smile. The customer smiled back awkwardly, then shifted the carrier to his side. Sorry, it's just I've never had a cat before. Don't worry. She's well behaved. Takes to people quickly. Go on, have a quick peek. She's a cute little thing. Big round eyes. The customer did as the owner suggested. Still holding the carrier, he peered in through the small window in its side. There she was, gazing right at him. She was curled up on a beige blanket. The owner hadn't lied. She had enormous, staring eyes. A calico, just as he'd requested. She's adorable. Isn't she? The owner said with a satisfied nod. Still only a year old, so she has that kitteny look about her. But she's all grown up and well behaved. A real charmer. The customer nodded, then stole another glance inside the carrier. The cat was still looking at him. It mewed softly. Oh, the customer looked up. I forgot to ask her name. The owner nodded, as if he'd seen the question coming. Well, what would you like to call her? What? You mean I get to... Another nod. You get to name her whatever you like. Call out to her a few times and you'll be surprised how quickly she picks it up. Really? Yup, I told you, she's a clever one. And it makes sense for you to name her, don't you think? She is going to be your cat, even if it's just for 3 days. The owner chuckled, then cast his eyes over the form his customer had filled out, which he was about to type into the computer. Mr. Ishida, is it? Well, for the next 3 days, this cat is a member of the Ishida family. So make sure you give her a nice name, okay? What do you call her when she's here, at the shop? Kali, as in calico. Doesn't seem much point in us giving them fancy names, see? In any case, talk it over with your wife or kids, and find a name that feels right for your family, okay? Just then, the telephone rang. As the owner made to take the call, Norio Ishida bowed politely and left the shop. On his way back to the car park, he turned around and took another look at the shop. Alongside the ordinary-looking sign for the pet shop was another that read, Blanket Cats. Above the Japanese characters, the English words for the same thing had been squeezed in like an afterthought. Blanket Cats. The phrase had meant nothing to him when he'd found the shop online, and still less when he'd walked in there. Now I get it, he thought. Cats that come with their own blanket. Blanket cats. The carrier felt surprisingly heavy in his hand. Doing his best to keep it steady, Norio made his way to his car. The sky towered above him, expansive and blue. In the distance, the mountain ridges shaded off imperceptibly into the haze. It was spring. The day before, the clouds of fine yellow sand that often blew in from China at this time of year had, once again, made landfall in western Japan. For now, though, Tokyo remained out of the sand's reach. Instead, the morning news had forecast high levels of cedar pollen in the city's air. The forests that covered the mountains on the outskirts of Tokyo were almost all cultivated cedar plantations. Norio himself wasn't allergic to their pollen, but a colleague of his who had a surgical mask practically glued to his face at this time of year swore that sometimes he could actually see it swirling through the air. Seriously, he had said. You know those old yokai manga, where the smoke spewed out by...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?